If you haven't watched the TED Talk, pause this, go back, watch the TED Talk, and then come to this one. Because in there I talk about focusing on your wins. I talk about the the reticular activating system and how that energizes what you see and what expands and all that stuff. So this is a specific exercise that I do not want you to discount the power of. Oh my gosh, when I did this the first time, I had a coach that challenged me to do this. It changed my life, genuinely changed my life, because my brain was so committed to and so practiced at focusing on the gap between where I was and where I wanted to be, and also the gap between just me getting better, all that stuff. So this conditioned, it reframed my conditioning and my focus and everything with my reticular activating system in my brain, all that stuff, to focus on what I'm good at, to focus on what I've already done that's been awesome, that I can use as momentum. Now the problem that we often see is that, the problem that I see is that people don't want to do this because they don't want to allow themselves to focus on their wins, because they think it'll make them feel arrogant. Oh man, I don't want to just come off as somebody who's just bragging. And so, dude, that's not what this is. You have wins, and you being awesome doesn't mean somebody else isn't awesome. You acknowledging your greatness and focusing on those things doesn't mean somebody else doesn't have greatness or hasn't won. Knock it off. Stop doing that. In the UK and in Australia, they have something called tall poppy syndrome. It's a poppy, like a poppy plant. If a poppy plant grows up above the rest of the crop, I don't know, I'm not a poppy farmer, but if it grows up above it, then it'll droop down to be even with the rest of the crowd. And we do this. Oh my gosh, we don't want to stand out. We don't want to feel like we're viewing ourselves as better than somebody else. I feel like I've already covered it. Knock it off. Doing this doesn't mean you're better than, okay? It just means that you are awesome. Period. Okay? It doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. You're not writing a list of somebody else's not wins. You're writing a list of your wins. So that's what we're going to do here. So the whole foundation for all this is something that I call the sweet spot, right? So you take this. You take what you are willing to celebrate and you lower the bar. You lower the bar. You used to be like, dude, I'm not even going to celebrate unless I get 100% on the test of life, or unless I totally beat my personal goal on that other thing I did, or whatever. Make that exact amount of money per month, or whatever it is. Lower the bar on what you're willing to celebrate. I have kids, man. And just this week, I have a 2-year-old daughter. We're potty training her, and she goes potty on the toilet, and I friggin' throw a party. I'm like, yeah, you did it. Nobody throws a party for me when I go to the bathroom, and my guess is nobody throws a party for you. Maybe don't lower your standards to all the way to celebrating so hard when you go to the bathroom, or do whatever. Do whatever you want. I want you to lower the bar on what you're willing to celebrate. Just do it. Start having awesomeness parties for yourself all the time, and awesomeness parties for other people all the time. Just yesterday, there's this 12-year-old kid in my church that I saw, and he told me that he went on his first roller coaster ever because he'd been hesitant to do that. And I had the whole class of 12-year-olds, there's probably 10 kids, and we celebrated like there was no tomorrow for this kid just going on a roller coaster, right? Do that for yourself. Lower the bar. You used to celebrate only when things would reach a certain threshold. Lower that threshold, and then it's awesome. Now over here on the other side, you raise the bar for what you're willing to tolerate, okay? You used to tolerate this. Now this is your personal standards, okay? This is with boundaries. This is with your boundaries with other people, but also your boundaries with yourself. What you are willing to tolerate with hitting the snooze, or saying, I'll do that tomorrow, giving yourself excuses, buying into your own smallness. Like, I just don't tolerate that stuff in my life. And I used to. And so I know what that feels like. And so you used to tolerate things at this level, whatever that is in your life. Even yesterday, before you watched this video, whatever. You no longer tolerate that. You raise your personal standards, and then, man, you just don't tolerate that anymore. You set new standards for yourself. You set new boundaries for yourself. You set new rules for yourself. Man, I just don't do that anymore. That's not something that I do. Or that is something I do. I just do that. I just eat healthy. I just don't hit the snooze. Those are just some concrete examples. Pick what it is for you. What are you no longer willing to tolerate in your life? For yourself. Then, when you raise the bar on what you're willing to tolerate and lower the bar for what you're willing to celebrate, there is this sweet spot in the middle where you're always just being awesome and celebrating your awesomeness. And it's just, you're setting the bar, right? You're more and more and more in an amazing state. That's the coolest thing about this, because when you're up here and you're like, I'm not going to celebrate for myself, I'm not going to really just allow myself to acknowledge my awesomeness unless it's at this level, unless it's at Oprah level, right? But then you're over here tolerating a bunch of stuff that isn't in alignment with that, then there's nothing in this sweet spot. And you're not feeling good about yourself, and you're not raising your personal standards, and you're not progressing. So just focus on this. Now, the best way to do this is to write a list. This is your homework. Write a list of 35 wins in the last 12 months. In any category, dude. It could be the personal, emotional, right? Like just something you did for yourself, or you feel peace, you feel happiness, or with a relationship, with any relationship in your whole life, or personal, health and fitness, or financial, or your career, anything like that. So career, finance, relationships, personal, emotional, or health and fitness. Or like you had an amazing experience. It's any of these things. It can be something as simple as, I made a ton of money, more than I ever thought I could. Something as simple as that. There could be something as big as that, or something as simple as, you know what? I stopped hitting the snooze. Or I cut out soda pop out of my diet, and I didn't really tell anybody about it. Or I overcame my fear of asking that person on a date, or whatever it is, man. Something small or something huge. Again, lowering the bar, so you're writing all these amazing things that you wouldn't have written down as wins because you were comparing you to Beyonce beforehand. Not a thing. So just write down a list of 35 wins over the last 12 months, and you will be surprised at the patterns that you notice emerging. What patterns do you notice? Are there some areas of your life that they start to show up more than in other areas? You feel like, oh, I really value that area of my life more than I thought I did. Or you see a bunch of wins, and just not as many of them are in category X or Y. And you're like, I didn't really focus on that category this year. And that's just feedback. It's just patterns that you're noticing. But you gain momentum. Because we're going to go into this mindset shift. The number one thing you got to shift about your mindset is your own ability to accomplish stuff. And the best way to do this is to focus on what you've already accomplished. Because you can do that stuff. It's already done. It's already concrete. It's your reality. It's happened. And then you can be like, oh, because I did that, I can do this. And I can even raise the bar more. And I can even do more than I thought I could. It gives you momentum. It activates your reticular activating system, or it engages your reticular activating system so that you start to see evidence of your greatness all over the place. And you're like, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did that. I'm great. And that person did that. That person did that. They're great too. Everyone is great, right? There's no scarcity of greatness. There's no shortage of greatness. So stop doing that. Start focusing on your wins. Then I want you to take that list and read it and be like, oh my gosh, this person is amazing. Look at all the things that person did and all that person accomplished. Holy cow. And then you're like, that person's me. Like, there can be this realization of, wow, look what I've done in just one short year. without even being as intentional as I'm about to be the next year, right? Because as intentional as you were last year, whether it's not intentional or whether it's super intentional, you can make that even more intentional, more overt, and be able to double down on all of these things and look at what you can create in the coming year. And then focus on all the things that are coming your way, because you are awesome. And I'm awesome. And Brock, doing the video behind the camera here, you're awesome. Like, there's no shortage. We're all cool. We're all great. I'm excited to see what you acknowledge for your own greatness. Let's do this.